Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to today's event, Patching Holes in Your Pipeline, Predictive Data for Success and Sales. Before we get started, we just have a couple of housekeeping items that I want to get through. First of all, this should be about a 45-minute presentation with a Q&A at the end. Last time we did end up right on time, so just as an FYI. Throughout the presentation, you can type questions into the question box to submit them throughout the presentation. At the end, we'll read them out. We'll also send a copy of the deck and the recording of the webinar in our follow-up emails after the event. So before we get started, we're going to run a quick poll. We did promise that you would receive lunch for attending this event. So I believe our marketing team has just launched the poll. Please let them know which delivery service you would like to receive your gift card from. Who's winning? Oh, looks like DoorDash.
I like the no kid hungry option you put in.
Me too. Actually, that is winning. That is by far the most popular.
That's great.
That is great. Thank you all. All right, we're at 93% voted. Any last votes before we close the poll? All right, can everyone still see my screen? Great. All right, let's just run through the agenda. So the first part of our presentation today is a fireside chat on data and analytics with Clint Oram, which I'm really excited about. Then Kevin Cook will be taking us through a live demo of Sugar Discover, and then we'll do an audience Q&A. First, though, I want to run another poll. Are you currently utilizing a data or analytics tool at your organization? This should give us a good idea of how we should frame our conversation today. So please vote when you see that on your screen.
I feel like we need some Jeopardy music going in the background.
I can hum it if you want, but I don't think anybody does that.
But Clint, you feel free to hum, you know, whatever.
There you go.
Great, Red, 79% voted.
Yeah, I'll take the moment for a shout out to the memory of one of my heroes, Alex Trebek. That guy was a stud.
Oh,
Yeah, he really was. I remember a couple of years ago, I took my kids on a tour of Hearst Castle, and he does the introduction as you're like on the bus going up the hill. it's really wild. All right, we're at 93% voted, and it looks like 62% of you answered yes, you are already using some kind of tool. 23% said no, but I'm interested in learning more, and 15% are not sure. So good mix of folks that are using these tools currently. Let's get started. Quick introduction to everyone that you see on your screen. First of all, most of you know me, but I'm Ellie Lippman. I'm BrainCell's Senior Customer Success Manager. I specialize in CRM and marketing automation software. BrainCell is a growth enablement company with 26 years of experience in helping businesses select and implement CRM technology and strong data strategy. I'm really excited to be hosting today's series with Clint Oram and Kevin Cook. Clint Oram co-founded SugarCRM in 2004 and now serves as Chief Strategy Officer and Head of Corporate Strategy. Hopefully I got that right. Leading Sugar's strategic planning of their customer experience platform. He's an expert on innovation in the sales analytics space, and I'm really excited to pick his brain about how Sugar is addressing common data challenges. Finally, we have Kevin Cook, BrainCell's EVP. Kevin is a former sugar developer and a certified sugar salesperson since the late aughts. He's been doing this a long time. He has a knack for data analytics and will be showing us Sugar's Discover Data Insights tool this afternoon.
Great. Hi, everybody.
So to break the ice, at our recent quarterly meeting, we all went around the room and shared the best advice that we had ever received and why. It was interesting and inspiring to hear my colleagues' answers. So Clint, I'm going to ask you the same question. What is the best piece of advice that you've ever received and why?
Best piece of advice I've ever received. Well, certainly I remember back 20 plus years ago when a colleague of mine, when I was working at Hewlett Packard, said, "What are you doing here? You should go work at a startup." And that I did. I left HP, went to work at a small CRM startup, and 5 years later started my own CRM company. So that certainly was some pretty good advice. But probably the advice I live by every day is to live in the moment, right? So you can't change the past. You can only plan for the future, but you can absolutely live in the moment and impact what's going on around you. So that's what I try and do is focus on the moment and make the most of it.
I think that's great advice and a really good segue into planning for the future. So Clint, tell us, why is data in sales so important?
Why is data in sales so important? Well, it really comes back to probably what I consider the single most important thing about your sales team, your sales leadership, your sales reps, which is predictability. As a business leader, I'm managing growth within the company. I'm planning growth within the company based, frankly, in large part around our ability to drive revenue and fund that growth. And so ultimately being able to steer the company in a way that leverages all the resources that we have is incredibly important. And so getting predictability from my sales team is probably a really top of mind for me, right? And I think across the board, every sales rep, every sales manager is always looking to manage expectations around them, looking to manage their pipeline, looking to manage every step in front of them. And so when you think about that manage topic, I come back to an idea I've said fairly often, which is to grow it, you have to manage it, and to manage it, you have to measure it, right? If you want to focus on growth, you're going to manage growth. Growth doesn't just happen because customers suddenly just start falling out of the sky, that type of thing, right? It happens because it's a focused effort. And to manage something, you have to really measure it. And you really need to understand where your bottlenecks are, and you need to understand how you can deliver predictability around it. So those are all the ideas that come to mind for me initially when I think about why data in sales is so important.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So with that being said, what is the difference between rear view analytics, real-time insights, and predictive analytics?
Yeah. Well, so rear view analytics, pretty straightforward. What happened last month? What happened last quarter? What happened last year? What was our revenue? What was our average deal size? What was our average velocity? What happened in the past? What was our win rate, right? And those are all very useful metrics to help you plan for the future and help you understand your performance in the past. Real-time insights, I'll give a different example, right? So I'm calling up a prospect and I want to know what university that prospect went to. I want to know where that prospect may have worked in the past. I want to know more about the prospect than just name, title, and email address. I want to know more about the company as well. And so getting those real-time insights about who you're talking to, I think, is probably one of the single most important capabilities in a CRM tool when it comes to what's happening in the moment, right? Coming back to that view I just gave of you can't change the past, you have to live in the moment. So planning for the future. So let's talk about planning for the future with predictive analytics. Well, when you combine together those rear view analytics and those real-time insights about who you're talking to right now, you can make some predictions about, for instance, is this prospect somebody who's likely to actually ultimately want to buy from us? Is this a prospect that would convert from a lead into an opportunity, to use CRM nomenclature? And then when you're actually working through an opportunity with working a deal with this prospect, what's the likelihood of the deal to actually close after you gain more insights about the deal? When would it close? Those are the types of predictive analytics that SugarCRM is putting into place right now. And in fact, we'll be delivering our first capabilities around that in just a couple months in January. With our next release, you'll see a whole new suite of predictive analytics that'll help you know which prospects to focus on first, who are your best bets, and then help you as a sales rep analyze your pipeline and know the likelihood of each deal to close, the likelihood of you to hit your forecast, and when those deals would actually close. So those are three different views of rear view analytics, real-time insights, and predictive analytics.
Nice. So to do this, what sales data should companies be tracking?
What data to be tracking? I would kind of come back to just a real high-level comment of everything you possibly can, right? And in today's world of cloud-based applications, storing data about your customers, capturing data about your customers, storing data about your customers, it's not hard anymore. All of the applications are instrumented to grab as much data as possible. In fact, where we put a lot of our effort at SugarCRM is what we call no-touch applications, so that we're capturing that data in the background, so that you actually don't have to enter anything in order to drive those predictive analytics. But my overall point is, as much as possible at the customers, certainly those notes about the call meetings, incredibly important. One of the key indicators of success for a sales rep is how often they're talking to their customers and their prospects, right? And so measuring that and tracking those notes, and then starting to pull out sentiment from those notes to understand how well the calls went. Those are all things that the CRM industry as a whole, and SugarCRM specifically, is really driving innovation around right now. And so I would argue that you're going to collect every piece of data that you possibly can, but the best applications collect it for you, so that you don't even have to really think about it.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point. We could probably do a whole web series on no touch as well. But I want to move on to the next question. What does it mean to be a data-driven sales team?
A data-driven sales team. Well, there are four metrics that every sales organization really needs to be thinking about when it comes to driving performance. Of course, there's the metrics, the end of the quarter, end of the year metrics around total revenue and average and that sort of thing. But let's talk about what's happening at any particular moment in time. And those metrics are value, volume, velocity, and conversion. I call them the 4 V's, and I take the V out of conversion in the middle, right? Just to make it a little bit of alliteration there. Value, volume, velocity, and conversions. And what you're looking for there is to understand the value of your pipeline, the value of your customers, deal size, average deal size is a key metric on value. Volume is number of deals, right? Number of deals at the top of the funnel, number of deals at the bottom of the funnel, number of deals each rep might have in their pipeline. So just basically looking at average deal size and looking at the volume in the pipeline at various stages. Velocity is how quickly a deal moves through the pipeline, right? Now, different industries and company, different types of buyers will have different velocities. It's typical in the world of B2B software to see smaller companies make decisions more quickly because there's fewer people involved in a decision-making process. So in the world of CRM software, you're going to regularly see that from consideration to purchase, for smaller companies will typically be in the 30 to 90 day time frame. And for larger companies, it's typically in the 120 to 180 day time frame because there's more people involved in that process. But as a company, what you're looking to do is to tune in that right equation around value, volume, and velocity, and really find those deals that are hanging out in the pipeline and are just, you know, what I call tumbleweeds. They just kind of keep getting kicked down the road with each quarter. The rep says, oh, this deal's going to happen, but I'm just going to change the expected close date out by another 3 months and another 3 months. And so if you've got a deal in your pipeline that is 200 days old and your average velocity for a deal to close is 45 days, well, this is where, as a sales rep, you need to be asking yourself, are you being honest with yourself, right? And as a sales manager, you're going to be asking the question, is this deal real? I don't think it's real. Let's go ahead and close it out, and let's move on and put our attention elsewhere. And then lastly, conversions, lead conversion rates, win rates. So you're looking for lead conversion rates from MQL to SQL, from a lead coming out of your marketing department to being a qualified opportunity that your sales team is working on. You're going to be looking for lead conversion rates of anywhere from 20 to 40%, depending upon your industry, right? And the types of customers that you sell to. And then you're going to be looking for win rates, conversion win rates, in terms of what your deals are that are going to closed won. And so what you're going to be looking for there is win rates generally around 33%, so that you know that, generally speaking, what you see is about a third of the deals that that you interact with go to no decision, so no customer makes a decision at all. 30-year deals you'll typically lose to competition, and 30-year deals that you'll win. That's kind of just a general rule of thumb that you're looking for when you're managing your sales organization. And so in there, managing your conversions around leads to opportunities and opportunities to close one. These are 4 very important metrics that you're looking for to manage your sales team. And when you can start focusing on those metrics and finding the outliers, that's the first step in managing your team to higher performance. But then when you can really start dialing in those metrics, and they get to the point that you're happy with them, well, frankly, at that point, it's just add more money, right? Spend more money on marketing and hire more sales reps.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I'm thinking about all of the actions that you take against an opportunity in order for it to become closed won, and sort of understanding how long things take in stage, like where your bottlenecks are and that kind of stuff.
Exactly right. And at what stage do deals fall out to close lost? You want to lose early and never lose alone, right? Those are 2 probably good pieces of advice in the world of sales. Coming back to your advice question earlier, lose early and never lose alone. And the idea there being is you want to measure your pipeline and find out where your close lost opportunities are coming from. In other words, if they're further along in the sales stages, that means you wasted a lot of time and effort, right? It's really what it comes down to. If all of your deals are falling out of the pipeline, for those deals that you lose, if they lose in later stages of the pipeline, that's an opportunity cost for you. You could have been spending your time elsewhere on deals where that you did have the opportunity to close. So understanding where your deals go to close lost and trying to qualify very stringently at the front end of a deal and push it out of the pipeline if it's not going to come together is what you're looking for. And then ultimately, that piece of advice I just said, never lose alone, right? Leverage your resources around you, bring in your management, bring in your if you have a sales consulting team, whoever might be to help you better qualify and give you a read on a deal, because you may be looking at a deal and thinking, I should be spending my time here, absolutely. And then your manager comes in and goes, no, absolutely not, right? And so you want to have that kind of dialogue around your pipeline to help you focus your time and your energy. And that's what a data-driven sales team is able to do, right? They're really able to focus in on the right metrics around value, volume, velocity, and conversions, and use that as discussion tools, coaching tools to help you be a higher performing sales organization and ultimately a more predictable sales organization.
Yeah, and thank you, Clint. I think you just gave us all some really good sales advice as well as data advice. But I want to ask if you have any additional tips for how an organization can make that shift to creating a data-driven sales team.
Well, I think I just gave a lot of advice there, so I won't cover all that. Maybe I'll go again. I'll maybe just throw in the thought, and this is the purpose of CRM, right? This is why you have a Salesforce automation tool, a marketing automation tool, a customer service tool, all integrated together as one CX suite, customer experience suite, that allows you to instrument every step of the customer journey, not just at the sales process, but at the marketing and customer service, when that customer, that prospect's going through their research, and then they're evaluating you, and then they purchase from you, and then they use your products and services, and they become a loyal advocate. You want to instrument every step, and you want to apply all those concepts that I just talked about to drive performance and predictability, not just to your sales process, but to your whole company.
Good advice. Oops, I think I just went ahead a slide. What challenges are sales leaders commonly faced with when it comes to data, and how can they overcome them?
Well, I think the biggest challenge is legacy CRM tools are really designed to help managers manage, and they were never really designed to help sellers sell. That's kind of been that's been one of my core points in my entire career, as I've been designing CRM applications and building my own company, SugarCRM. And our approach to that is to collect that data behind the scenes through email integration, through every telephony integration, capture those data points about the interactions with customers behind the scenes without having to force the sales rep to type everything in. Now, having that sales rep put in their notes and guide next steps is frankly incredibly important for every manager to help that sales rep progress their pipeline. But you want to minimize that data entry as much as possible. No touch, low touch, right? How do you do that in a way that ultimately allows sellers to focus on selling? And that's what SugarCRM is all about. That's what we focus on with no touch applications.
Do you want to get into that a little bit more? Because I think we probably have some folks that are curious about that. When you say no touch, they're probably thinking, I touch my CRM all the time. So maybe some of the specific ways that Sugar
before we get into the awkward part of that conversation, but when it comes to leveraging your CRM tool in a no touch way, so let's take a few examples. The very first one, of course, we have a product at SugarCRM called Hint, right? And Hint, it allows you to look up all of the information, publicly available information about your prospects and customers, and bring it right into your CRM application without having to do a bunch of alt tabbing across the internet, Google searches and things like that. Bring it all there right in front of you. Secondly, think about our Sugar Connect product, which allows your email to be, and your meetings and your tasks to be not only synchronized between the CRM system and your Outlook or your Gmail, but more importantly, it's digesting all that information in the background and storing it automatically in the background without you having to even think about it at all. We've also got a really simple and easy, I use this one tool all the time, it's called Snip, and it comes with every Sugar subscription, where all you have to do is CC an email address, and Sugar automatically scans the entire email, looks for every email address, whether it's down in the email as a forward from somebody else, not just in the header itself, but in the email itself, looks for every email address, and then automatically attaches that email to every single person who's ever been in that thread of the email. I do that all the time. It's the world's simplest way of archiving my notes into into my own sugar system to share with my colleagues. And in fact, I'll often, even on internal email threads where we're talking about a particular customer, I'll just type in the customer's email address down into the email body, not in the, I don't bring the customer into the conversation, right? Unless it's the right thing to do. But if we're discussing a particular customer opportunity, I'll just put the customer's email address in there, and then I'll CC the SNP email address, and it just gets captured right there. I can go on with more examples, but that's just the beginning of it. Probably my next favorite one I'll throw in there just as one more is nothing like using Sugar on your iPhone and dictating customer notes to Siri and just having it just populate right in. That's awesome.
That's my favorite Sugar feature on the mobile as well, being able to make a phone call from the mobile app and then having notes come right up so I can just dictate them right in. I love that. So what other, besides the no-touch information, what other types of tools are available to sales teams that are looking to up their data game?
Well, the hint application that I talked about as well is a key part in there. One of the things that you'll be seeing in just a few minutes with Sugar Discover is we've taken the whole world of sales analytics, sales reporting to a whole next new level. So what's the history of using reports? Stare and compare, right? You're looking at a chart and you're supposed to recognize in your head what the chart's telling you. What if you don't know, right? I'm like, well, okay, there's a nice pretty chart with a bunch of colors. I'm not really sure what's happening in there. What we do with Sugar Discover is we automatically analyze every single data set you're looking at, automatically analyze every report that you've built, and we start populating on the right-hand side key insights about that particular deal, or excuse me, that particular report. And we tell you, okay, your pipeline is growing up and to the right. What lead source or what industry is driving the most growth? What lead source or what industry is having the least impact? So it starts telling you about the chart that you're looking at and what are the key drivers in there. And then even going a step further, you start subscribing to these insights, and they go into your insight feed, and they ultimately get pushed out to you as alerts on your phone, right? All this happening in the background, telling you about your customer information without you having to ever even open up the application. And just, as I said, moving away from that world of stare and compare and trying to guess what the chart is telling you, and then moving to a world where the actual analytics application is telling you what you should be getting out of this particular chart. We'll see that from Kevin in just a few minutes.
Cool, I can't wait. Before we get into that, I know last fall, I think in September, Sugar announced the acquisition of Corvana, which is now Sugar Discover. Can you tell us a little bit about the motivation around that acquisition and what resulted from it?
Yeah, you bet. The Corvana guys are just industry experts in the world of business intelligence. And in fact, they were all came from a company called Pentaho, which was one of the most successful open source business intelligence applications out there. But what they thought about as they thought about their next company was, rather than building a general purpose BI tool that could be applied to anything, they wanted to go focus on a specific use case, right? They wanted to go dig in deep into one area of the business and not just create the most horizontal, the best horizontal tools, but the best purpose-built tools. And so they built a sales analytics application that we're going to see here in a few minutes within their company, Corvana. We loved it. We bought them early. They were just coming out of stealth mode, and we saw what they were doing, and we said, that's just fantastic. That fits exactly into our vision. Now, here's the cool thing about the Corvana guys as well. Just got to go a little bit further on this particular piece. So not only did they bring us this really just fantastic reporting application that you're about to see in a minute, but they brought a whole design architecture for what has become the Sugar Customer Data Platform. You're going to be hearing about this over the next year ahead of us, But our customer data platform is where we integrate all, aggregate and augment and pull together all the data across all of the different sugar applications into effectively one master data warehouse. So one view of the customer, and we're able to track literally every single click that a customer will make on the website, every click that a sales rep makes when they're using an application, a customer service rep. I mean, we're down to tracking at the click level exactly what's happened around this customer over the whole history of that customer working with you as a company. Now that's data at scale. Remember I said earlier about what data should we be collecting? My answer was everything, right? And that's what we're doing with the customer data platform, and that's what the Corvana team brought with them, as well as the application that you're about to see in a few minutes. And then I can't talk about this without describing the next piece that came with it as well. We made an acquisition a few months ago of an artificial intelligence company called Node. And Node is what is powering our predictive analytics. We've rebranded as SugarPredict. So before my marketing team starts slacking me and saying, stop saying Node and start saying SugarPredict, and stop saying Corvana and start saying SugarDiscover, you get the point in there. Anyways, we've layered in a whole predictive analytics component sitting on top of our customer data platform. And that's the next wave of applications you're going to be seeing from Sugar starting in just a few months. I tell you, I'm watching the demos from our engineering team of what's coming out in January. It blows my mind. It's absolutely awesome.
Wow, that sounds so exciting. Can you tell us a little bit about what we might expect in January?
Well, I gave you a little hint earlier, right? Remember I talked to you about the lead scoring and opportunity scoring, and what's the likelihood of a particular lead to convert into an opportunity. So that helps your SDR team focus their energies, and then an opportunity to turn into closed won business, and by when, helping your sales reps focus their energy as well. That's what's coming in January. We've got a whole new sales console that is coming out that you're going to be seeing in just a few months, that really laser focuses your people on those best bets, where to put their energy, and ultimately you'll see ahead of that new forecasting tools that helps you predict what does the system say that your forecast should be for the particular quarter, both at the Kevin Cook level and then all the way up to the Jim Ward level throughout the organization. That's what's coming ahead of us, and it's some pretty exciting stuff. And you're going to be seeing a lot more in the world of no-touch applications from SugarCRM.
Nice. It's a really exciting time to be a Sugar user, I'll tell you that much. All right, well, with that being said, I think we should take a look at Discover. I'm going to do this thing where I make you the presenter, Kevin.
Okay.
Do it right.
If we do it right, let's hope so. Hope I can do it. All right, here we go.
We just switched it out, so.
There we go. You should be seeing Sugar Discover. Look at that. Yeah, so Clint, I was actually taking some notes here as you were talking, because I want to make sure that I show some of the things that you were referring to. But before I get into that, a little bit about the overview of Sugar Discover. I was blown away when I saw Sugar Discover, and I have to admit, I was kind of skeptical. I was with you and your team, just us guys, talking about what Sugar Discover was going to do, and I had to say I was skeptical. But when I saw it,
we made some bold claims, didn't we?
You did. But when I saw it, I was blown away.
We want to enable our customers to be able to make bold claims as well.
And so I've become a huge proponent of Sugar Discover. I've been playing with it, using it. We use it here at BrainCell. So you guys have got an awesome product here. Let me show folks how this hangs together. When you log into Sugar Discover, you're presented immediately with some insights. So these are insights that are important to you. It's going to tell you what's going on. I love the phrase you use, stare and compare. You know, is my spreadsheet telling me something or not? What do I need to do? You know, call up my Excel expert and help me figure this out, or look at Sugar Insight and it's going to tell me what's happening, things that I should be looking at. For example, here, I can see that there's some opportunities that are idle. Who is a sales manager doesn't worry about what's stuck. What are our stuck opportunities? So I can see this discover and this insight right here that shows me opportunities that are stuck. I can drill into it and see what's going on here. I can see, you know, I got Alexander and Joe and Omar are the owners, my sales people, who have opportunities that are flagged here for some reason and what stage they're in. So, you know, if I'm a sales manager, I could call Alexander and say, what's going on? Ask Alexander what's going on with this opportunity. Lots of other insights available to me. Average days in sales stage. Okay, so you know, when we're looking at how long things stay in a certain stage, and remember with sugar, you can configure what your stages are. So I've seen some customers that have, you know, a dozen very discrete stages, and others that just have, you know, open or close. You know, and as a sales manager, you want to see how things are moving from stage to stage, and if things are particularly, you know, it's nice to know that Alexander's got an opportunity that's stuck, but it's even better to know how things are sticking at certain stages. And you can see this over time. And this is something, this is one of the things that was a bold claim that really blew me away. True time-aware data. Sugar is truly time-aware, and Discover shows me not just, you know, my opportunity pipeline or my days in sales stage today compared to a year ago, but I can see it. Look at my x-axis here for March and April and May and June. So I'm getting really discrete snapshots, not just year over year, but you can go month over month, week over week, really discrete snapshots. And then I'm not just seeing days and stage, but I can also see, and this is that stare and compare. You don't have to compare. Sugar Discover will tell you what's affecting the graph that you're looking at. So, you know, you can say, well, you know, my days and stage are going up. Yeah, okay. I could look at my spreadsheet and figure out it's gone up 27%, but why? You know, let me look at these insights here. I can see that one of the things that's causing this days and stage to change is my enterprise team. They've got a 38% increase. Tagged in red, 38%. Or I can see another cohort. These are called cohorts. My finance team has reduced their average days in stage. So maybe as a manager, I want to call enterprise and find out what's going on, or call my finance group and find out what they're doing different. Somebody's making some moves somehow, somewhere. Sugar Discover is going to show me where those moves are happening, so I know who to talk to. Now, it's not all bad news. You know, we've seen some, the sales stage days are going up. I've got idle opportunities, but Discover's also telling me my win rate is 5% higher than predicted. Now, it's important, than predicted. You know, I'm not just 5% higher than I was this time last quarter or last year. Sugar Discover is saying, well, the predicted rate is something, which is okay, but I'm higher than what I predicted I would be. That is insight that you just can't get without doing some crazy analytics in a spreadsheet, if you could. So what's this win rate trend? What's going on here? And this is kind of what you were talking about, Clint. You know, you wanted to dig in and find out what's going on, what's improving or what's not improving. Where can I focus my efforts? Sugar Discover gives you some insights into where you should focus your efforts. So if I look at the biggest movers in changing my win rate trend, well, it's clearer that my outbound team is really outperforming. 129% increase. Look at that. Now, you know, there are some folks that maybe need to do some improvement, but I can see why it's going up. So it's going up more than we expected, and I can tell why it's going up more than we expected. So I focused on a lot of things like my insight feed, the various insights. There are many others we could look at, but I want to get into Discover. These areas up here are the various areas where you're going to see the main parts of Sugar Discover, like these reports. I can actually change this report. Okay, you can edit these reports and create your own new reports. There's so much flexibility with the things you can do here. My library, I've got a library of all these other reports that I've worked on, that I've built. So You know, one of the
I got to pause in there for a sec, Kevin, and throw in a comment. Back on that previous screen you're at, when you were showing all the different fields that you can report against, probably one of the first things that I loved the most about leveraging SugarDiscover was the ability to create a calculated field.
Yes.
Right. So to be able to put in a formula and calculate win rates by deal count, win rates by value, by revenue, being able to just on the fly create a new field that's calculated based upon other fields, super helpful, really simplified my world. In fact, that was one of the reasons why I had to drop out to spreadsheets very often when I was doing my own analytics on our own sugar system, was to create those calculated fields. And now I can do it just right inside of Sugar without having to drop out to spreadsheets.
Yep. You've all heard of calculated fields inside SugarCell, but these are calculated fields inside Discover. So you can take all that data, add some arithmetic calculations to it, make one thing dependent on another. You can add aggregations in here. So there's a lot. You're absolutely right, Clint. There's a lot that you can do inside SugarDiscover as long as you're creative. Do you have a problem?
One of the calculated fields I created was simple sales stages, open, closed, or in progress. And I wanted to analyze pipeline created by quarter and know what stage those the deals that were created in previous quarters are as of now. But I wasn't interested in every single nuanced sales stage. I just wanted to know open, closed, or one lost or in progress. That makes more sense when I say it that way. So one lost or in progress, and I just did that with a simple calculated field.
Yeah, that's a great example. What's alive and what's not. Yeah. I think that is a great point. Maybe we can illustrate that and some other things that you were referring to. And I know Ali, I can keep on going. You know how passionate I am about this. So shut me up when we need to start talking about taking some questions. But I want to show a few things here because Clint, you talked about this earlier. The sales cycle. There's other reports here, and you can filter. You can figure out. You can find all your analyses. So I'm going to go into a flow analysis here. This is something we haven't seen. It's a little bit different. One of the things I pointed out, you were talking about sales cycle, but I pointed out the ability to look at not just what's my value of the pipeline or what's my value today versus my value of something a year ago, but what makes up that value, why. And so, with Sugar, I can actually drill in and look at the details of these things. Or if I want to come back over to other reports that we've been looking at, idle opportunities, I can get pivot tables, things like this that pull out the data that makes up those particular portions.
Go back to that funnel flow analysis chart just for real quick. No, that one on the far right you had right there.
This one. This is really cool. Like this.
Let's go ahead and look on close lost. So click on the close lost. Okay, what that's telling me there is when I have deals go to closed lost, what stage were they in?
Right.
Right.
So you can see
and the problem with this particular view of data is that the deals that I'm losing, the deals that I go to close loss, I'm only losing in my later stages. That means I've got a challenge. That means I'm wasting time on deals that I'm not that I'm not winning. What you want to see is deals that go to close lost happen earlier in the sales process. Around you want them to happen pretty much exclusively in discovery and qualification. Right?
So you don't spend those resources.
And that's the kind of insights that you're going to get there to help you tune in your sales team.
Yeah, that's right. And maybe the problem here is that we weren't establishing the value early enough. So you need to establish the value early so that by the time you get to these later stages, there's no question about the value and you have fewer lost opportunities.
That's a great point.
So the insights are going to give the managers ideas about what they can do, You're talking about people doing nothing, people buying nothing. just going away. This is actually a pretty good thing. If you're going to lose deals that go silent, you want them to go silent early. You don't want people going silent late. And so this is an example of a good piece of data. Allie, I bet we've got questions, and I know that we're coming up towards the end of our time here.
That's all right. No, it's no worries at all, Kevin. I want to keep you presenter just in case we want to show and tell any of these. We have had a couple questions roll in, and you're in a good spot right now to answer the first one, which is, can the visualizations in Discover be changed?
Awesome question. So the answer is yes, and pretty easily. As you see here, the little paint roller.
Nice.
If I go to the paint roller, I'll just make some quick visualization changes. Besides just changing scales and whatnot, I can just change my color. What do I want this to look like? Or maybe if I'm in an entirely different type of chart, I can go to a different, instead of seeing lines, maybe I want to see stack columns, or that pivot table that I showed you earlier, or other types of visualizations, whichever one's most appropriate for me. So the answer is yes, you can change your visualizations pretty easily.
I use the column and line chart type all the time. That's probably my favorite chart type inside of SugarDiscover. It allows you to have, let's see, maybe look at title opportunities. Anyways, we won't try and create one on the fly, but being able to say, for instance, look at the amount of pipeline created by quarter, and then there you go, and then lay down a line across it of what your win rate was across those deals, right?
Yeah. And what you can do here is you can change these things dramatically. So you saw, want to look at a column line. I just added a metric here that filled up these columns. And you can, the interface here is really clever because you can move these things all around and add more pieces of data as you wonder, maybe it's a different cohort that I need to look at. So you can add that to your charts very quickly.
And one other point that we're not showing it right now, but dashboarding inside of SugarCell, the application, has changed as well. You can now resize your dashlets. And so I'm a data nerd. I just absolutely, well, I'm a CRM nerd, and I love to look at the data behind things. I personally, I'm one of those people that hates to argue just based upon opinions and emotions. I like to come in with some facts and make sure that if I'm gonna advocate a change in the business, it's because I've been looking at the data. So I probably got the most number of dashboards of anybody in the company inside of Sugar. I've probably got about 30 different dashboards that I use, and being able to build a report in Discover and then publish it into a dashboard inside of SugarCell, and then resize those dashlets to draw the right emphasis to the right pieces of information, and then sharing those dashboards across the company. That makes my little data nerd heart sing.
And that's an important point, because you can also take SugarDiscover and embed it in dashlets inside SugarCell. So,
yeah, we have a question about that actually. So I'm glad you answered that, Kevin.
Yep.
Must be clairvoyant.
Yeah, I'm not, or maybe I'm getting some sugar insights. It's sugar insights.
Predictive data.
When you there's a module that you can load inside SugarCell that will allow you to pull sugar data and put it in and embed it into Sugar dashlets. So didn't know that was a question. That's a great one, and a great point to what you were saying, Clint.
That's awesome. I do have a customer question here. It is, when tracking by product, can you assign some products a higher value, in parentheses keystone, versus other products, in parentheses cross-sell?
Read that again. Say that again, please.
When tracking by product, can you assign some products a higher value versus other products? I wonder if they're talking about benchmarking.
You could, I'm solutioning now, but I would imagine that would go back to what Clint was saying about the calculated fields.
Yeah,
so
that's where my mind goes first. What are we weighting? Are we weighting the deal amount and saying if it's products X, it's worth 150%, and if it's product Y, it's worth 75%? Yeah, we're solutioning now, but I think the key point in there is the calculated fields idea, so that you can weight your pipeline in different ways inside of a report and see all kinds of metrics based upon tuning through calculated fields.
I want to see if you've got any examples here. Nothing pre-built, but yeah, it would be an example would be using calculated fields, tweak exactly what you need. Right.
Great. I've got a couple more questions. How do the insights work? Does SugarDiscover use machine learning?
Oh,
that's exactly what it is. Yeah, so we're leveraging machine learning algorithms behind the scenes to come up with all of the discovery insights that you see on the right-hand side. And where I'm excited coming ahead of us is layering in the predictive analytics coming from the new Sugar Predict engine on top of that as well. So not just leveraging machine learning to surface the insights that are most likely to be valuable to you, but then to make projections into the future as well.
Yeah, and so you can work with the Sugar team to create, to tweak things. How does Sugar interpret things? What's important, what's not? So the machine learning is really important here, because that's what really differentiates us. Besides that time aware, you've got that time aware data, but if you didn't have the machine learning telling you why things are changing, what might be important, you wouldn't have nearly the incredible tool you've got. What else is in the Q&A?
That's actually my last question, unless anybody has any additional questions they want to throw at us.
Why is the sun so bright? That's
yeah.
You know what? I'm having the opposite problem, but it's because my power went off in the middle of this. I don't know there's something happening on my street. They're doing like line work all of a sudden. So my apologies for that.
All the joys of working from home, right?
Oh my gosh, right? I'm sure everybody's sympathetic. So I want to mention before we wrap up here, and Clint, thank you so much for being on the presentation today and for all of your amazing insights and advice. I wanted to just take back the presenter mode and just talk about our offering. We're big data people over here at BrainCell, and I'm gonna try and show my screen. I'm sorry, I'm on my laptop, so hopefully it goes okay. And I'm gonna just play this current slide. Can everybody see my screen okay?
Yes.
Awesome. So one of the things that we offer to our customers is a data assessment, a data-driven assessment. So you can have a chance to meet, and it's really an opportunity because they're great, our data analyst team who actually focus specifically on this part of the business, kind of coming up with a data strategy, taking a look at how you do things currently, what systems you're using and what functional areas, and how we get you the best picture of your data. This is completely complimentary, and I hope that folks will take advantage of it. And we can talk about Discover as well. So that's really the end of our presentation today. I want to thank you again, Clint, and thank you, Kevin, too, for showing us SugarDiscover. It was a great conversation that we had, and I hope to talk to you all soon.
A lot of exciting things coming ahead of us, not just what we have today. It's an exciting time at Sugar. Some awesome new applications.
Can't wait.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you, guys. Take care.
Thanks all for joining. We appreciate your time.
Bye now.
And thanks, Al.